All right, guys. So what we're going to talk about in this one is the workspace. Just to get you guys a little familiar, of course, in the last video, I showed you this screen, which is your welcome screen. And if we go to File, and we go to, let me click in InDesign. If we go to File, we go to New, and we go to Document, then we get the document screen or New Document dialog box. Inside of this dialog box, we have our settings. We have settings for like recent, like if you did something recently, it'll show those settings. We have saved, like any settings that have been saved. We have our print, and this is for any project, of course, that you plan to print out. We also have web, so for projects that you're, like, let's say you're doing a web page or you're doing an invitation that's going to go on a website and things like that. This will have settings for you. It just makes it easier. All these settings you can set yourself, but this is an easier way. We also have mobile for, like, if we're doing things like we're using the iPad. So when I design lectures and demos and stuff like that, I design it here so that you guys can see it on the iPad and it's easy on your eyes and easier to navigate. We're going to get into this screen in a few moments, but before we do that, I'm just going to choose anything for now. I'm going to choose Create. Now, this isn't for you to choose Create. We have specific settings for you, but I'm just explaining the workspace, so this is why I just chose this one, which is a mobile setting. But the purpose of this, let me go ahead and make that smaller. The purpose of this, I'm going to actually switch to so I'm in the Essentials workspace. That's actually the one that I want, and if I hit, yeah, that's the one I want. I'm not going to go too far yet. Okay, so what we have here is our workspace. This area up here, of course, is our menu bar. You guys should know that from all the other programs. It has File, Edit, Layout, all that fun stuff. Okay, and it looks a little different in each program, but just know that this little light gray area on mine is the menu bar. We also have the control panel. Okay, the control panel is right here, this area right here where you have like the A, which stands for text, and the P that stands for paragraph, and you can change settings like your text, you can change like the style, you can make different changes. And this is what's called context sensitive, which means that it changes depending on what tool you have. Okay, so right now we're in the type tool and paragraph, but if I had a rectangle here and I switched, so I just switched to the rectangle tool, notice the options in here are different. Like we have the X and Y, we have the width, we have options for color and changing it. We also have options for our wraps and stuff like that. So just know that the menu changes. And if I go back to the type tool, you'll see that it'll change for that. So I'm going to go back to the selection tool as well. So I just wanted you to know that this menu right here, which we said was called the control panel, it makes sense that it'll be control panel, right? Because it's just the controlling of whatever tool that you have, right? So any tool that you choose, the pen tool, the type tool, these are the controls that you have over it. So that's why it's called control panel. Makes sense, right? I know. This is your document tab where it says Untitled 1 for me right now, but this is the document tab, okay? That's all that is. Over here, you're going to hear us talk about this a lot. This is your tool panel, this panel that's over to the left. Remember when I chose the type tool, when I chose the selection tool, when I chose the frame tool, all of these in all other programs you've been in so far, this is your tool panel. So that doesn't change. What else I want? This is your document, of course, right? This is where the magic happens. This is where everything that you want to be printed is going to be. These are your margins, this pink and purple border. Those are the margins that are set. So that's the safe area for your document, where you won't have to worry about it being cut off and things like that. And then this is your page border, these edges, right? The edge of the document is the page border, which makes sense, right? What else I want to go over? These are your rulers. We're going to talk about rulers as well. So this is your ruler. If you click in the ruler, you can actually drag out a guide. Okay, see that guide that I'm dragging out? And all I did was click. Only thing I did was click on the mouse. I held it, and I drug a guide out, and that was it. So let me move that back where it was. Let me reset this. All right, so that's your ruler. Now, if you right click on the rulers, then it gives you options. Right now it's reading in pixels because remember I chose a mobile setting, but yours might be reading, later it's going to read in picas. It could be read in points. Inches is very popular. So just know that this is the ruler panel. When we talk about rulers, when we talk about, hey, go to the ruler and do this, or go to the ruler and pull out a guide. That's all we're talking about, okay? If we tell you to change it, like let's say you wanted to change a unit of measurement, you could change it here. You can right click and you could choose inches or whatever, but it only changes the X, right? So it's only going to change this one that's running horizontal. If you wanted to change the vertical one as well, or the Y axis, you would have to right click in here and change it. But there's a way to change both at the same time. What you would do is go into this upper left corner, click there, and when you change it, it's going to change both at the same time. So let's say I want to change this to inches, it would change them both to inches instead of me having to do one at a time. So just remember, this upper left corner lets you change both at a time. I'm going to go back to, where did I have it at, guys? Pixels. I'm going to go back to pixels just so that it's set. But I just want to show you that you can change both at the same time. You don't have to. You no longer have to do one at a time. You get to do two. Haha, so awesome. All right. So we went over the tools panels. We went over ruler. Over here to the right, these are your panels. Okay. So these are your panels. They're called panel docks because this is the dock that they all sit in. But if I were to activate one by just clicking it, right, I navigated to the panel and then I activated it by clicking it, and now we have the options. For instance, this one is for the swatches. So just know that this is just your panel, the panel dock. Now, let me go ahead and close that. If I want to close it, you guys saw that I just clicked on the two double arrows and it closed. All right. So this right here, let me switch back to my selection tool. Shortcut to switch back is V key. See that? V. All right. So what's kind of cool. So this is your pasteboard. Okay. So what this is just an area that's not going to print, but it's the area that you can put like additional stuff that you may want to use later. Like if you had additional text boxes that you want to use later, if you had arrows or objects and things like that you want to use later, you can put it all in your pasteboard and it won't print, but it'll be there for you guys. Okay, and I'm thinking that's all that I really want to go over. Something that, let me go ahead and move this up a little bit. I'm trying to see if I can grab it. Nope. I can, but not without I should hide my bar. All right, but anyway, so another thing so these are your horizontal scroll bars, right? So, I mean, that's pretty obvious, but I just wanted you to know. Another panel that I did want to show you, but I think I'm going to have to do something real quick first. Let me see. Hang on one second. I got to catch it. Oh, okay. Well, there was another panel that I did want to show you, which was the pre-flight panel. You might see it on yours. It sits at this bottom left corner. So in the middle, in the next break in between this recording, I'm going to fix that on mine. But it sits down here. It's a pre-flight panel. What that does, what I like about it is if you have any errors in your document, it's going to tell you. It's going to show a red dot that says there's an error. Usually the error is overset text, which means there's text that you have to go in and find and see why it's overset, it's hidden, so you have to fix it. And that, my friends, is pretty much the layout, the workspace, and that's it for workspace. What? I'll see you in the next video, but workspace is done. Drop the mic, son.